I'll try to last through the meeting.
Hope I won't fall asleep.
If you fall asleep, just make sure at least the microphone's off. Maybe the camera's okay.
Well, right. The note taker should just record that fact in the notes, in the minutes.
All right. Maybe Dave, if you sent one slide deck today, I do have that and it's in the tracker. So
I think I resent the one that was the overview, but I have the one on security and one on the ACLs. It doesn't match the agenda you came up with, but we'll just, I don't know whether we'll modify that or whatever. We'll get to an agenda bashing in a minute.
So it's only us online, because I thought that BP will also be. That's what he said, at least.
Yeah, I think he said that.
Yeah. So.
all right, it's one after. I'm going to give my co-chair maybe a minute or or so.
I saw Tom. I saw Tom for a second.
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. I just unmuted to say hi. It's weird. I can hear Dave and Soren quite loudly. Chris, I hear you very faintly.
Is this better?
A little.
He's all the way in Australia. Of course he is.
Har. Wow, look at that old picture of me. How does the IETF still have that one? Wow.
Well,
okay.
You feel young. You feel younger, huh?
There we go. Yeah.
All right. Brian, you're on. Are you with us? So our wonderful AD just commented in that we are in the plenary room with, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people for a room that holds 500, maybe more.
Yeah, I have been really working hard with the secretary to get this room to actually give you all this feeling like this is a big thing. This working room is big, even if we don't see it.
I will say I did joke with them on the way over about that. All right, it's already.
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
I've had problems with Meet Echo audio before. All right, got it. Sorry about that. Took a while to get logged in.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Soren.
All right, we're going to get started. We have a reasonably packed agenda. So for those who aren't aware, this is a recorded meeting, so don't be surprised. You're in NFSV4. If you're here by mistake, welcome. I'll buy you a drink. Stay for the whole thing. Here's the note well. I'm obviously getting, you're getting the Friday version of a week of Chris at IETF. Presumably, you've read this already. For those, I know there's some folks online who may have only be doing this meeting. This is the typical IETF note well. Be familiar with this. You agreed to them when you signed up. It has to do with intellectual property disclosures, anti-harassment, etc. Be nice to everyone. Note really well. We're here about possibly debating ideas, not about anything about attacking people. Again, treat people well. All right, meeting tips. Hopefully, if you're on site, you've seen this already. Here's the 2 tips for remote folks. And resources, if you need this at this point, I'm sorry, it's probably a little late for you. Okay, agenda and bashing. So, welcome to Bash. Dave's gonna kind of cover something related to those topics.
Yes, but I'm not going to have 40 minutes of time. More like
That's-
15 or 20.
That's excellent. We're not, our goal for this, the NFSV4 working group has fairly regular interim meetings where we've been trying to work through some of the topics that Dave is roughly covering. And so I'm not trying to replicate an interim meeting for this in-person meeting, but a slightly more broader set of topics. We will continue with interim meetings, as you will see as we get to the end of the kind of chairs deck, et cetera. So thank you, Dave, for that. And then we will go into, I think it's Tom, if you're not, as I understand, it's going to be more focused on kind of NFS, some ideas for a possible 4.3. And then we have some topics more related to RDMA and that kind of optimization around AI models. Anybody like to bash? Okay, moving on. Document status. So congratulations. I think Christoph and there's some other folks online. NVMe layout is going to progress to RFC 9561, soonish. It's in the final stages of getting ready for publication. So good on us. Tom, if you want to possibly step to mic to comment, we have some reviews of layout rec on the list. There was a couple of small points on that, and I would be okay. I mean, those for me were more nits, a little more explanation here or there. I'd be okay to advancing that to working group last call and getting the rest of the set of reviews to kind of progress that. Any comments you want to make on where we're at?
No, I got some really good comments in the reviews, and I thought they were on point, and I hope I addressed them. There might be, I think there's one outstanding. I'm not sure which review we're talking about. I did 2 this week, and I'll work with the person who submitted it to iron it out.
Okay, then I'm likely to start a working group last call. I'll work with you on like where that next update is, and then we'll start, and hopefully we can finish that set of reviews on that. You don't need to sit down because now we're going to go talk to the Delstead, and you sent an update to that. And I think you've communicated with Zahed, and I know you talked to the RFC editor. Where do we stand?
I don't know. That's for you guys to tell me, because I'm apologizing for being late, and I certainly don't account for any changes I made this week to have been read by anyone at all. Right? That's not how I understand the process works. It's just I had the time to do it. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about your comments. Is this 04? Is this the final thing, or there will be an 05 once you're able to submit that we should look at?
No, I already submitted the 04. I submitted one this week.
And that's the one you submitted this week.
Yes.
Okay, and you said you made further comments beyond that, or did I
No, I
misunderstand?
did not say. There was another document, Dave, that had further comments.
Yeah, and Dave, in general, can you join the queue? And if you're, I'm going to let this one go, but at least say your name if you're not joining the queue. Oh, I didn't get note takers. BP, are you taking notes?
He said yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Jahed, yeah. So the reason I sent it back because I thought this has waited for long. I understand we didn't have time, right?
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. So I mean, and I don't have any problem with how working group takes a decision, but this need to go to working group last call. I mean, if we proceed with this one, so we have a 04 now published, right? So people go ahead and read that one, make it maybe you can do it short last call if you want to, but then you push it further for further thing. I think that's the right way of doing it, so that we also know if there is a changes needed, those are well read by the working group anyway.
I have a comment on that. I don't disagree with any of that, but I would like you to, because I was replying mainly to you, I'd like you to say either okay or not okay on the changes I made. Right. And again, I know it's short, so I'm not asking.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna do that one also.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm gonna do that definitely, because and then we can, as you said, like people can read it. We can go for a short working blast call, and I can take it forward. Really, no problem.
Okay, and then we're going to hear about 5661 BIS, internationalization security, ACLs. So that covers everything that's either an accepted working group doc or has been kind of covered in the interim. Am I missing one? Layout rec? No. What am missing?
I have layout WCC as well.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. I missed
Well,
one.
that's listed as let's see. Hey, my name is David Novak, and just that layout WCC is listed in the documents as expired, but I understand from
And
Tom
the
that
reason
we should
why it's
consider it
expired is, I'm sorry, Dave. The reasons why it's expired is the last time I had a document up for review, once I updated it, the timer started again. So I didn't want a timer to restart.
I actually am familiar with that. I missed it. Sorry,
All right.
Tom. Can you give it was out for review. Did we get, I'll admit I lost the bubble.
I'll have to come up with, but it's either going for adoption into the group or last call. I can't remember which.
I admit that
I'll follow up with you offline.
yeah, okay. Thanks. And sorry about losing track of one. My apologies. Okay, and then I think we're, I do want to announce or kind of give a status update on this. So GitHub, as we talked on the last interim meeting, the group said yes to GitHub. I want to do a brief kind of statement about it. So there is the GitHub sites there. XDR reference file is up there. Thanks for Tom's help pointing to me to that. Security 08, pretty sure I have the right number in there, is up in there. I've put about half of the issues that are in the appendix of the -08 document into the issue tracker on GitHub. My goal, and Dave, we're going to have to work through this. We're not there yet, so no need to. But my goal is to be able to kind of do that tracking through GitHub and to organize interim meetings a little more around issue tracker in GitHub. When I get there, Dave, I'll probably work with you on how we kind of work through that process and what it means to the document itself. I'm capturing what you put in the document as your issues.
Okay, fine. I will work with you on that.
Yeah.
Just call me or text me whatever you need to if you need help.
Will do. And then mailing list is requested. It's in flight. So there should be a mailing list related to NFSV4 for kind of GitHub output. And then users can filter that or use that how they see fit.
My tool won't let me get in the queue. Tom
Okay.
Haynes. So Chris, can you publish something telling us how we would add a document? I have documents on GitHub, my own repository. I'd like to move them over so that it's a group thing, not a me thing.
I will put something on the list about that. I'm following, if they're actually up there, 8874 and 8875 as kind of processing. I'm not there yet with kind of the continuous integration, the automatic like document processing and that kind of stuff. I'm not close to that, frankly, at this point, but I'll put something in the list and we can work out details.
All right, thank you.
One-to-one. Okay, and I think these are slides for later at this point. All right, Dave.
Yep.
You're up if you want to request control.
Okay, let's see. Find the right icon. She asked to share screen. Is that the right thing?
I think so. And I will approve.
Okay. Okay, let me, okay, can people see my slides? RFC 5661 BIS effort. This is just a short set of slides covering all the documents, I'm dealing with. Okay. Next slide. Okay, the two that I'm going to focus on today, and I'm going to have significant talks about each of these. One is the security, which I think is current as -08, and I made some changes. The changes I could make in time.
Hey, Dave, we don't actually see the slides.
Oh, you don't? Well, okay. I see. What do I have to do? Let's.
I'm seeing a screen share is being started, so you've done something.
Do you want to share screen? That's why I said I want to share the screen. Okay. Share. Okay. Okay. Jesus.
Okay. Now we have your Gmail.
I don't need that. All right. All right. Let's see. Okay. This is a slide. All right. Now, so let's see. Where the hell is this thing? No, I've lost the Zoom. Okay, this is it, right?
You're gonna have to request it again.
I can't get to the place where I do request it. All right. All right, let me just join again. Okay. Okay, here we are. Okay, I request it. All right. Ask to share screen. All right. Accept. No, that's not the right thing. Permission denied.
Oh, wait. Yeah? You're there again, Dave.
Yes, and okay, I want to share screen, so I said accept, and then entire screen.
Maxis.
Okay, this may do it. All right, can everyone see it now? Pray,
Yeah.
please.
Yes.
Yes.
If you can make that bigger, it would be really welcome.
Okay, yeah, that's big enough.
No, not yet.
Well,
Oh,
my
you're
screen
getting there.
is
Keep going. Keep going.
all right.
That's much
All
better.
right.
Works for me.
All right. So, security, which is at 08, and I made some changes from 07, but not all that I would like to because of the date crept up on me, and I had to submit what I had. The big changes were, this was a response to discussion at the interim. We split out the ACL stuff into a separate document, which I'll discuss in another talk. And we had a shift that I think was prompted by Chris's comments about switching to numeric IDs. And I think people should look at that and decide if that's really where we want to go. But that was the only way I could see to address Chris's issues. Then I'll have a ACL document which I just submitted the -00 of. Instead of they created this big things and then said, oh, by the way, but you don't have to implement most of this. And therefore, it's very hard to figure out what part is. So what I did is change the focus of made the smaller subset the canonical description. Say it was these things, the three read, write, and execute were privileged, that basically you have to support the functionality of Unix ACLs, and then you could support if you finer grain as a separate option beyond that. And that work is not complete until the 01. But however, I do think the 00 is reasonable, and I will want to see the discussion we can have, and then I will produce an 01 as soon as I can, based on that decision and work I'm doing now to give some more substance to the ACL feature attribute, which I added. So part of this document is it's both describes ACLs for all minor versions and defines an extension to be applied to NFSV402, where in parallel with ACL support, you have an ACL features attribute that tells you where you can find out what the server supports, whether it supports Unix ACLs, the full NFSV4, or some hybrid. Pretty much everybody supports either Unix ACLs or hybrid. I don't know. I haven't seen the full thing. There are a lot of things there. I'm not sure wherever. Anyway, let's move on. Any more comments about that or questions about that, or can we move on to the next slide?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So now we're with the 02 5661 BIS, and I think I need to update. I haven't started on the work, but I think it should be out within April. Needs an update to reflect the changes that have been made in other documents, and there was one that we just discussed on the main list that I'll make. Internationalization, that's also delayed by my focus on security, and that is also going to be there'll be a new personal draft with a proposal of how we could resolve the issues with the we've seen with external reviews where one group like it, one group of people like it, the other one doesn't, and we have to figure out what to do about that. And also this 5662 BIS, which is still a personal draft, and I think there was some discussion between me and Tom about whether we could make XDR changes, and I think we do have to make some, but they're very, very restricted in what we can do. Basically, we can change type defs. Basically, we can't change the substance of XDR, but we can change comments. We can change what type devs. And I think basically I asked Chris to just diff those and see, and we'll have a discussion. Maybe we'll have it in the next interim meeting about if there's anything that's in there that's unacceptable. All right, that's it.
So I don't think we can change type defs because someone might have, that would necessitate recompiling in some cases if they're using that type def.
Well, if they're all opaque, we made change like this in 7531. I think these are the kinds of change. Anyway,
All right.
Once we have the diffs, let's discuss the details. All right, that's it for this mini deck, and I think let's see. I have to. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right. I got to. Security. Okay, now can anyone see it? Or I've switched slides, but I think I have to All right, let's see how we can do that. Stop sharing. Okay, I'm going to share it again. Nope, that's not it. All right. Stop sharing. All right. Mhm. Okay, I hope people can see this. Let me make it bigger. All right. People see that?
Kind of.
All right. Okay, so
Presentation
I'm
mode
going to
would be nice.
discuss the changes that I made in 08, and that those were submitted by the deadline. And also, I'll spend a little time explaining the basic reason for this new approach to security. So the reason we did this, we needed a new document, was we need threat analyses, we need better discussions of auth-sys, and the existing discussions just say, well, it's optional, but there's no discussion of what the security consequences of using it are. And also, now that we have RPC with TLS, we need to discuss the availability of encryption without RPC sect GSS. And in the old scheme, you had to have RPC GSS, but you didn't really have to have it because auth-sys was optional, and that left you without encryption as a routine thing, and that's something I don't think we live with. And the other reason to make this is to address the pervasive underspecification in the existing documents, and there's a focus on ACLs. But as a result of the discussion we've had, ACLs will be dealt with in a separate document, which I'll also talk about. Okay, so in going from 07 to 08, I split out all the ACL-related material. There was a lot of comments to the effect that it was hard to review and make progress on the document when that was in the same thing. And that was a lot of trouble to do, but it turns out after going through it, I figured that was the right decision. So now I have to agree with the group in deciding to do this, and thought that was a good idea. Anyway, in slide 4, I'll discuss the details and describe something about the new documents. And the other thing that was a result of Chris's comments were string form numeric IDs. In NFSV4, we switch from being a 32-bit integer to being a string. And over the history of this, we've come to allow numeric IDs in the form of strings. And there was in previous specs that was sort of denigrated, but it wasn't clear why. It was just felt to be a bad thing to do. And I think that by making that not a requirement, we can say, well, you can put these mapping tables if you want, but yeah, they have to be the same on both sides, and it's a possible security issue. And so you'll see in -08 how this is addressed. I hope this is okay with everybody. All right. Now we'll move on to, okay. All right. So I had a lot of work splitting out the ACL materials, which was moved from Security 07 to now ACLs 00. What's moved is a lot of text, descriptions of ACLs and ACEs, authorization, the authorization model. And in the process of moving that, I also put in more detail and found some issues that weren't satisfactorily addressed. So authorization using ACLs, and then other uses of ACLs, that is audit and alarm. And then there are a lot of cases where there's interaction of ACLs and modes, and they have to be kept in sync, and that there's a lot of material on that, but it has to be clarified. And there are a lot of opportunities where different implementations have the ability in these to use different mappings, and I don't know how people can have interoperability when that's the case. So anyway, that's one of the issues that will also be dealt with in the ACLs document, is the interaction of ACLs and modes. All right. Next slide is okay. The new approach to numeric IDs. I think Chris pointed this out. His way of describing this problem was the definition of identity was not clear. On the other hand, it was clear if someone limited in NFSV3, we just had this 32-bit numeric ID, but people decided with good reason that wasn't flexible enough. Eventually, we'd overflow that. We'd have multiple domains. So it was decided to make that a string. But the string that flexibility was created by the domain at domain format, and also it was very appropriate when we use the RPC sec GSS or Kerberos in particular, because the domain was a Kerberos realm, and the name was provided by Kerberos, and in that case, the NFS implementation did not have to deal with mapping. The thing that was troublesome, and I think that was what Chris was referring to, was because the need to convert to name was applied to all uses, even in auth-sys. Well, it wasn't clear how you do that mapping, and I think there was some feeling that was implementation advice, but it was implementation advice on the server and the client, and they had to match. And when they match, and then you could see this need to do this mapping creates all these avenues for attacks. So basically, what I did was say, okay, if you're using auth-sys, you can use the numeric form. You don't have to feel bad about it. And I think that's the essence of the change, and that change is in -08, and I think people should look at that and tell me if they think that's the way we should go with that.
Tom,
All right,
keep-
now, sorry?
So this is Tom Haynes. Is the question, is it just the owner and owner, I mean, the principal, or is it also the owner and owner group in the get out of reply?
Yes.
So I don't necessarily agree with this, because your change is saying that if you're using Kerberos and you give it a stringified numeric ID, you're not going to accept it anymore. That breaks existing
No,
implementation.
I'm not saying I'm not going to accept it anymore.
What I saw NFS4 error bad owner in the document. Sorry, I just read it.
Okay, maybe. Okay, all right. So there's no intention to say that it's invalid, but
Okay,
but
then we can take that as something to clarify
okay, we
later.
take that. Okay, we'll discuss that. I'll look about where that is and see what I think implies, and maybe we'll discuss that. All right. And okay, let me talk about, yes, then we'll need to do an 09. I find that there's one of the things that I should have moved to the ACL document was not, that's what section 1.3.2. I did some work to fix up the inter-document references, which was a lot of the work of splitting out the code. And so we've had some discussions. Basically, one of the things that Tom pointed out is I have to make it clear what I'm objecting, that I am not proposing that you can't, but there is still that error, and I have to make it sure that the scope of that error is pretty limited. So, like, one of the reasons that you do that is if you're using RPC sec GSS and use a numeric ID, I think giving that is valid. But given when you're using auth-sys, I don't think that would be valid or shouldn't be valid. So I have to figure out how to do that. I'll look at that. And if I expect that Tom and I to come to agreement on that, and that if we do, that will be in the 09. All right, that's that. Now let me see. Okay, if I can move to the okay. Now, does everyone see the new ACL document? I can do that without unsharing and sharing. Okay. People see that?
Looks like it. It's just not enough on
Okay.
the screen. If you can put it in presentation mode.
Well, I can
Is it
present.
still
Okay.
old? Tom
What,
says it's
okay.
still the old.
Presentation.
There's an icon on the bottom. You can push the icon.
Boy, I'm covering my mic.
What?
There is an icon on the bottom of your screen showing like a presentation mode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here it is. Okay, yes. All right. So the contents of this talk,
Like his file got screwed up.
how ACLs were dealt with in existing specifications, that is RFC 7530 and RFC 881, and what I did with ACLs in slide 6. I'll discuss what I tried to do with ACLs in the earlier sets of documents, and then what I do in 00 and where we're going beyond that. So next slide. All right.
He's still showing the old slides.
It's still the old slides. Do you want to just stop this share and share the new one, Dave?
Yes. Okay. I guess so. So how do I do that? All right. Stop sharing. All right. Now, what do I do?
Start a new
All right,
share, whatever else.
Share again.
No.
This is why we need it all.
I don't know how to do this. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna. Okay. Stop screen share. Okay. Add screen share. Okay. Accept. Window. All right. Let me see what I got here. Okay. All right. So let me see. All right. Okay, is this the right? Okay, is this the right slides?
Yep.
The contents now?
Yep.
Okay, right. So what we had in the past is we had two ACL models. One, the XDR was based on NFSV4 ACLs. They were modeled on Windows ACLs, but it's not clear who would support. In particular, it was difficult for many Unix systems to support that. But the spec was written that, oh, by the way, you can also not support a lot of things. And as a result, that was very hard to think. And so that was problematic for a number of reasons that we can go in detail with. So they would tend to support both of those in the same thing, with the result that was hard because you couldn't keep track what was really described when really, because there were basically two features and they weren't described as two features. And as a result, it wasn't clear how much of one feature you have and how much of the other feature you had. All right. In the past, NFSV4 has never had to provide semantic descriptions of what it is. It could always just, as with NFSV3, it was based on POSIX, and everybody, or whether everybody knows it, we can reference POSIX and the semantic thing. But once we decided to include ACLs, and ACLs weren't part of POSIX, all of a sudden we got, without really realizing, a responsibility to describe the semantics, which we didn't do it very well, and we just assumed it would happen magically, and it didn't. So anyway, that's the problem that I wound up dealing with. I tried to deal with. So I think going back in time, it looks like what we should have done was doing the simpler model first and deferring the extensions, but the working group couldn't agree to that. And as a result, we could have also done 2 separate attributes for the 2 models, but that seemed like too much work. So now the other thing is we have to be able to at least, you as the client, you have to be able to figure out what is the server supporting. And so if he wanted POSIX axles, he could get those. And if he wanted extension to it, he could know whether they were supported. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so now I've produced a 0, and I'm with the new approach, and you can see this in the 0, even though it's not complete. The core requirement is Unix ACLs, and those 3 bits for write data, read data, and execute are not optional. Right now they have like there's about 20 ACE mask bits, and they're all essentially optional. But now there are 3 that are required, and the rest are optional. And there's a way of finding out which ones are implemented. And you need to have some attribute I propose it be called ACL feature, which is a per-FS attribute that enables you to find out what the support levels is. Based on that, part of that process that we're going to go through is find out what existing implications. I produced the document, which I think I sent out, about what is supported in ONTAP, and it turns out it supports most of this finer grain, but it doesn't support separate write and append data for files. It doesn't support any of these special users, and quite frankly, it's a hybrid of the Unix model and the NFSV4 model. And I think we'll see a lot of those, of different hybrids, and the ability for clients to figure out what people support.
Yeah, so we've had some email traffic on this. I just want to comment that we've had some email traffic on this on the list about what FreeBSD and what Linux, and some references to some old Sun documents as to, and it seems like that old Sun document is kind of a reference that current implementation.
I haven't seen that. Okay, it's good. I should gather that stuff up. Okay, so I'm describing what's in the 0. Now in the I'm going to produce a 0.1. And that I'm working on that now, and I will not be done by the next interim, but hope to be done by the end of April, or maybe the second interim. This would have an ACL feature attribute will be a v42 extension with extractable XDR for the extension, like all extensions have. And we'll move the bulk of section 132 of security to the new document, but that really deals with ACLs. And any results of any working group discussion, either we have here or in forthcoming interims or in the or on the working group. I think whatever I can do can get into that 0.1, and I hope that will be the basis for discussion of perhaps of when we want to make that a working group document. All right, that's it for me. Questions?
Yeah, as soon as he can get in queue.
Okay, I'm stop sharing.
You can keep sharing. That's fine.
Well, I don't have anything to share.
Whatever. Let me get started. So, I mean, the biggest issue with the whole thing is really that the NFS4 working group back in the day went down this pretty crazy route. And I think before we get into details of what ECHL model we actually want, we need to figure out if there is any reasonable path to get there, because it is, at least as far as the specification goes, a highly incompatible change. I mean, from my point of view as a local Unix file system developer, a very desirable one, but how do we make it happen without breaking the world? And this is what we need to figure out before we go into the nitty-gritty details.
Well, part of that is what I'm doing about similar to what was doing with auth-sys. We cannot say, oh, use auth-sys, and now you have to change your spec, your implementation. But we can say, look, if you relied in good faith on an existing documentation, and even though it's a mess or something wrong with it, you continue to do that, but we have to give you some indications of the negatives that go with that. And that's why I decided to essentially allow propagation of this, but you have to document what you've done. You have to, if you're supporting just NFS Unix ACLs, you can document that. The ACL feature will do that. Anyway, that's my model. Okay, we can discuss.
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
Tom's slide going up, and that would be one logical answer: is do a new minor version where you can opt between ECHL models, and maybe that's actually a good segue without actually knowing what he's going to talk about.
Okay, fine. All right, I'll be listening to his talk with that in mind. So I'm done.
Good. Oh, when we're ready. So the title is indicative of the mood. NFSV4.3 question mark, because I didn't know. Oh, is it not coming over?
No, it is, but you can control the slide if you so desire.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't aware that I was giving a presentation. I made a snide comment or two in the working group intern meetings, and I got asked to do a session on this, and it actually turns out to be, I think it's going to be a good session. I need bigger fonts, it looks like. Does that come across okay on this? They look small on the TV here.
It's fine. It's fine online.
All right. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase 8178, and this is my paraphrasing, not anyone else's. Why would we want to do a 4.3? All right. Well, we have something we really want to deprecate. We have something we want to make mandatory, like security, maybe. We have a new feature that breaks the minor versioning, which basically the client and the server cannot infer what the behavior is. And I'll give a good example of that, a document that no one's read, because I just published it this week and you shouldn't have read it yet. And it's the layout recall by device ID. And I've realized as I wrote it, there's no way that a sane 4.2 server can, or client can infer what the server is meaning with the callback. So I'm not saying I have to make a 4.3 for it. I'm just saying there are examples of when you can't infer the correct behavior, you have to do something else. All right. And then the final one, the one I thought I was talking about, is when we've gathered enough luggage for the train to depart. Right. So we kind of did this in 4.2. We had 10 different drafts for 4.2 or of different feature sets. And instead of going forward with each one of those drafts, we rolled it all up into 4.2 and had a really nice little document. I go fast, by the way. Please slow me down if you have to. I'm not aware of it until I am. Dave?
Just one point. My
What?
name, David Novak. What you described as the reason we did the extension model, that nice 4.2 document was not so nice because it dragged on because we rolled it into one document. And therefore, some things could not go forward until everything was ready, and it just took years to get done, even though we thought it would be. So there's something on the other side. That's the reason RFC 8178 was done.
You know what? I actually agree with you. And if we had RFC 8178, it wouldn't have taken as long. We certainly see with the new features we're coming up with, once we acknowledge that the word is we are extending and not replacing the minor version, I think it's very simple to do. So I agree with your comment.
Okay. So now we're all in agreement. Let's go on.
All right. And so one of the other reasons that we might want to put a new version is security. So we cannot say that we require that these minor versions suddenly become secure. You can't change implementations that have shipped. But we could require that 4.3 becomes secure. And a comment I had made several years ago, not several years ago, but several intern meetings ago, is that if you look at, we call it SMB, but CIFS, basically Microsoft has always said that it is going to be secure, right? And so we can make the same thing. Now, you could say, well, what does this do for 4.0? I don't care. There are really not any implementations of 4.0 that are not solved by better 4.1. What about 4.1 and 4.2? Well, 4.2 is very simple to bolt on to 4.1, and 4.3 should be just as simple to bolt on to both of them, right? And before I get to conclusion, I want to, by the way, talk about the size. We should be going downhill on the sizes, and we're not necessarily, because we revisit the BIS, but I felt one of the other problems with 4.2 was it was too large at 104 pages, but it was not anywhere near as painful as 7530. And so I would be happy with a one-page 4.3 document that just said security is now required to implement and deploy. Doesn't tell you anything else about it. That's what the security document is about. But if we just made that one simple line in the document and said this is 4.3, we'd be good to go.
All right, maybe you write one page, but once the ISG gets done with it, it's 15 pages.
Krista, I'm done, by the way.
Dave, get in queue when you want to comment, please.
Yeah, I see slightly conflicting goals here, right? I mean, if we actually want to address the long-standing dragons, which there be security, including ECHLs and internationalization primarily, there's a few smaller dragons too. We're not going to be done with one page or even 15. And
I
it would
agree,
be
Christoph.
very useful, and I think it would be way more useful to roll all of those dragons into a new minor version instead of these, sorry for the bad name, weird documents trying to cover everything from 4.0 up. So I agree with your sentiment on 4.4, by the way, very, very strongly. So I don't think it's that easy, but I think doing a 4.3 that's focused on these longstanding issues that we really need to sort out is a good thing. And there's probably a few other things we want to roll into it, but we also should be very careful of not rolling too much into it.
So Christoph, I'd like to say what the way I view the other documents, the security document, the ACL document, the internationalization document, those are for the new releases coming out, and we only have them in one place. So you don't have to replicate the internationalization in every draft, in every minor version. You just say, this is the document that describes it from 4.3 on.
And we reference it from the 4.3.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, the problem, we, not I, need to think hard about the interaction, because I just don't see how we can do security or ECHLs or internationalization completely standalone. So I'm not sure if it's going to work. It would be great if it did, but I'm doubtful.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm a big advocate of not having humongous documents anymore.
Agreed.
All right.
Dave?
Well, I'm skeptical of one page, but I think that's overstated. But I do agree with the idea that we're about a small set of things and something that is shorter. But I think realistically it'll be one or two dozen pages. But I agree this is a good idea and we should proceed on it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good. Sorry.
Hey, I just had a question for Tom Haynes. I raised my hand. Is that still a chance to ask it?
Yeah, go ahead. Tom.
Yeah.
Tom.
So, Tom, I love the idea of a one-page thing and security required. But what about all the other stuff that everybody's going to expect in a new minor version? What about ACLs? What about,
Yeah, I thought that was the question Christoph asked. I mean,
well,
like I said, I actually, my view on it is we have an ACL document that says from 4.3, this will all be met.
well, I'm not asking about ACLs. I'm asking about what else needs to go into such a document, If ACLs is the only thing, well, okay, let's go with
well,
that.
the only other thing that might go in the document is to say that here are the operations and such that we've introduced from 4.2 document, and we might want to roll them in.
Yeah, codify them a little more strongly, you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's basically taking stuff that's already lying around, it's optional or not fully developed, and writing it all down.
Yes.
Can I ask a slight clarification there, which is, would you be okay? I mean, is your proposal also saying, hey, this is deprecated?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
My name Rubin. I'm from HCC. Today, I'm going to talk about a type of rocket base in network computing, but I don't think we find we find the right work group. Rocket is come from RDMA. RDMA is part of job of this group. I think so.
We're looking at you, Tom and Kristen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all right,
as we know, the total time of HPC and AI mainly have two parts. The first part is the computer time on CPU and the GPU. The other part is the collective community time. The design proposes a rocket-based collective communicating offload to switch in order to reduce collective community time. For example, the traditional or reduce have many issues. They need multi-interaction between work node, effecting, and the large communication between work node increase network workloading. For example, Intel reduce have many advantages. First, he can reduce the interaction between work node to improve the efficiency of the class computing. The second, they can decrease the total communication along work node to lighten the network workload. we in network architecture have three key parts. The first is ink switch. Second is ink client. The last is ink aggregation manager. Ink switch responsible for implementing in network computer based on the aggregation tree generated by ink aggregation manager. FPGA for universal internet in network computer with a future transition to high performance switch chip. Ink client is a type of software which is a plug-in with MPR and the NICO library to send the collective community message to ink switch. AM is generate and manage the aggregation trees, deploy ink relative flow route to the switch, and monitor the schedule of ink compute task. The design goal is to reduce the interaction between compute nodes to improve collective communication efficiency by over 50%. The second, to reduce overall communication of compute node by over 50%. We can see from the finger, we only mainly change three parts of the traditional infrastructure. First is we have two software change. AM is a new controller of the network computer. The ink client is a new plug of PMR or NICO library. We use the FPGA who link to the switch chip. It's the new ink engine. We didn't change anything of the compute node, include the GPU and the NIC. The ink switch take over some task from the GPU. He can aggregation the collective communication to the switch from the leaf and to the root. If the collect communication if the ink switch is root, the aggregation is complete, and the aggregation result will broadcast back to the other node, other compute node. So the ink switch offload the collective communicator. As we know, OpenMPR and NICO define standard MPR collect community interface, but they allow third party to have its own implementation. Ink client take over the MPR collect community interface of MPR and NICO and implement its own. When their application called MPR, for example, MPR or reduced interface, the code executed is actually in the ink client. In the client send the data of MPR collect communication to switch and receive the ink package from the ink switch. The data package between ink client and the ink switch are encapsulated use Rocky version 2. We extend the Rocky package immediately data. The immediate data include the ink information just like as tree ID, collective communicating type, data type, and operator type. Rocky is a mature technology. Rocky-based collective communicating offloading to switch have many advantages. It's the best way to gain performance and efficiency include low latency, improved resource utilization, flexible resource allocation, and scalability. We didn't change of compute node hardware. It can compatible with multi-vendor CPU and NIC. H3C built the original prototype in laboratory. The disclosure of tests is coming soon. Feedback and collaboration are welcome. You can reach me at this email address. Thank you.
Tom?
Yeah, hi, Tom Talpe. I have two, I've stopped short of calling them concerns, but I guess I want to mention them. I mean, the first is that Rocky v2 is not an IETF protocol. And so extending it is really an InfiniBand Trade Association discussion, not an IETF discussion. And my second comment is that while it's an interesting presentation, interesting concept, it doesn't feel like it's fundamentally an RDMA item. I mean, if it were to be discussed in the IETF, I think it could be an app area discussion. I'm not sure what the requirement for RDMA here is. Feels like a generic transport discussion rather than an RDMA specific discussion. So for those two reasons, I'm not sure what the relevance to this working group might be. I'm curious what your thoughts are on
that. Yes, we extend the Rocky wasn't to package. Yes. Right.
Right, and that's not an IETF protocol.
Yes, I think yes, maybe is part of job of IBTA, but you know, this is about community. It's a design to offloading collective communication. But I think maybe we can do something in the IETF.
Yeah, but why this group?
Yeah, so I guess if you look at the charter, the scope of NFS, it really speaks to kind of maintenance of RDMA protocols. So RDMA-AP, DDP, MPA, we don't go down to the level in this group of Rocky. Yeah. And so the only place in IETF now would really be an AD, and as I had, if you want to comment, would more likely be an AD sponsored draft in art. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the RDMA relevance was mentioned when Rebecca first introduced the document on the mailing list as a possible area of interest. And the reason is that it's targeting an RDMA transport, and NFSV4 is the only working group that has RDMA in scope. Right. So for that matter, it makes sense to bring it up here, but I'm unconvinced that it's relevant based on what I've seen.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Tom. I'm from China Mobile. I have something to comment. And
sure.
today Ruben, and also the next presentation from me. The motivation for our presentation is to exchange some information for you and for guys that are familiar with RDMA-related technologies in the scenario of AI networking. So the mainly motivation for us not to promote this work or promote the standardization of these solutions inside NFSV4 currently, because absolutely that these solutions are not within the current scope. But here we are trying to let people know more about the RDMA related solution for AI networking, and because the guys in AF in this working group are guys that are very familiar with RDMA inside IETF. So I think the major objective today is for information sharing. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, and I will also talk about more in the next presentation. Thanks, Chess.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're up.
Hi guys. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. There was some RDMA question, right? The scope of the working group and all stuff like that. My understanding is RDMA, maintenance, and extension. Anything RDMA extension is within this charter.
Yeah.
If you want to do a nukes RDMA kind of thing or RDMA-like kind of thing, we need to have it discussed in broader way.
Sure.
Because you asked, so I thought like I'll also tell you before you present, so you can you can relate.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. And also thanks for the chase for improvement for today's the presentation. So
Can we get Tom? Can we get Tom? Go ahead, Tom. Before you start, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, Tom, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to respond as a head's comment, and that is that the document that was published explicitly says that IWARP is not useful to this effort. And IWARP, the RDMA-P protocol family, is the only protocol we have in scope here. So we'll have to work that out. It's true that if there were an RDMA extension proposed, we would have to think about it here in this working group. But there's no relevant RDMA extension proposed right now. So that's an issue.
Yeah, that's exactly why I came up and put my ID hat on, Tom. Just to
okay.
say, like,
I'm sorry. It's late at night. Maybe I'm not fully understanding what's being said.
That's why I said like I would not push anything out right now, because this is basically informational for us. I think that's the reason presenters are here, and our job is to see like this is something useful. Is it like easy thing, or do we need? If we are interested, we can recharter. If we're not, then we can do something else. So that's basically kind of dispatch kind of thing. That's why I came into. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. If something says this is RDMA doesn't work for me, I need something new. This is out of the scope.
Thank you. But now, go ahead. Yeah. And
Do you want the clicker?
I think some other guy in the queue.
Yeah, Soren, is it quick?
Yes, very quick. So the question is this: why don't you put a draft? Why do we have to write a draft and then we'll discuss that? I think that's just a presentation without understanding exactly where it goes. For me, it's not useful. Thank you.
Sure. Previously, we have submitted some like drafts in TSV working group because we are not so familiar with the working scope of different groups, and then we see that RDMA might be NFSV4 might be the only place to extend RDMA related protocols. So I asked Chris about it. So today I will just am just about to share information, maybe if you're interested, I will, upload a new draft here. Thank you. Yeah. So I will have a quick introduction.
Yeah, just to interrupt, Soren, there are drafts. They were published several weeks ago and updated just recently.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
I didn't see the update.
Okay, guys, let him present, please.
Sure.
They were
just-
individual drafts.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
go to
Because,
the yeah.
Sorry, can I just go ahead? Very quick introductions about the problems based on use cases. So mainly, like the problem is focused in AI networking. So today's AI networking data centers that have some problems, like the incast problem. And the single flow of AI traffic could be around like tens of gigabytes, and the bad data synchronization will result in very large tail latency and the straggler problem, and then result very low and training efficiency. And also the problem, it reflects it in very low compute and communication overlap. That means that the workers or GPUs usually need to wait for network traffic, and there are a lot of idle percentage. And also about some problems in the blunt data distribution, like easy but frequent operations. They usually left to the endpoints to implement, and the network cannot do it. And also some resource constraint problems inside the AI networking. So primarily, these communication problems are caused by collective. We need to have some basic knowledge of what it is. So it is about collective communications. It is like a communication pattern between application processes. I mean, if you are something about HPC or AI networking, it has been evolved for over 10 years. But I will introduce you as a basic knowledge to understand about the problem space. So in collectives, they will define like one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many data delivery mode, like broadcast and scatter a one-to-many mode. The data piece will be sent from one sender to multiple receivers, but the difference is that broadcast is sending the same data piece, while scatter is send different data pieces. And also in many-to-one mode, they will have like gather and reduce. The gather, a single receiver will gather different data pieces from multiple senders, while reduce, they not only gather data, they will do some computation on the data for the result that the other senders might need in the next round computation. And also, all gather and all reduce are collectives that is a combination of the previous broadcast or gather and reduce. So this is a basic knowledge. And though here is a potential solution, like using we call it network assisted collective acceleration, or there are some other word like in-network computing or computing in the network. Here we don't refer it because computing is very, the word is sophisticated. Computing is in cats, or computing is in other places, very general word. We prefer to use like collective, we just offload this collective operation inside the network and use this specific word. So in the switch, you can do, replicate data in broadcast, and also you can merge ACKs in the backward phase. And in all reduce, you can use the switch to aggregate data and do some computation. And inside the switch, you can do some data synchronization to accelerate barrier collectives. These collective operations are called in very large scale AI and HPC system, and also in the data center networking, it's evolving to embrace these applications. So here are some basic analysis of existing solutions. We summarize them into two categories. So that's today's topic about RDMA. So basically, RDMA is is a commonly used solution in AI networking because of its high efficiency in memory access. It might not be the only solution, but it's the most adopted in not only for IB RDMA or Rocky V2. And also the two modes here are like NACA is based on like server to server RDMA connection. Like you need to build end-to-end connection between the sender and the receiver. And also the second one is based on server to switch RDMA connection. Like you need to build hop by hop connection. So there are some existing solutions from the industry or the academia. The first one is server to server RDMA connection. We found some relative work because like NetReduce is based on Rocky V2, and it designed a ring algorithm to implement RReduce. And so CFuse, and it's based on Rocky V2 either two, and so it will like implement multicast inside the like these network, and you need to build end-to-end RDMA connection, and the switch will behave like an in-network bridge to like between the source and different receivers. So for the second server to switch RDMA connection, and typical representative is Sharp from IB Infinite Band. So it need designed like a tree algorithm to implement RReduce, and will establish an aggregation group for single job, and multiple groups can share a common aggregation tree. Here that inside the switch, we only like part of RDMA functions are implemented in switches, and also it will leave all the recovery and the packet loss processing all leave to left to the endpoint for processing because of the resource constraint inside the switch. And also here that iWarp in IETF is the only work that based on RDMA. It's over TCP, but also for NACA that network assisted collective acceleration. Currently, we haven't found any relevant solution based on iWarp, because and we think that if we implement iWarp from server to server mode, then NACA functions will break TCP reliability. And also, if we implement in server to switch mode, offloading iWarp to switch may need some to solve some problems in state maintenance. So I think there is some protocol extension or some modification should be done for iWarp. So this is a basic analysis, and we can derive some requirements. The most important one is that the NACA function design and header definition, because the header will indicate what collective operations can be offloaded to the switch to implement, like message ID, sequence number, job ID, and rank ID. And also, we need to bridge RDMA transport semantics, and also some RDMA transport related issues like reliability and flow control and congestion control are also required. And also, if you want to do something and offload some collective operations inside the switch, you need to maintain security, because the switch will need to know the operations and to operate on the data payload. So resources must be isolated on switches to ensure that different tasks do not interfere each other, and NACA functions do not operate on normal traffic. So we have some other considerations about the data confidentiality, integrity, and authentication, and also operational considerations on if you can for providers, service provider, if they provide not only the networking infrastructure but the compute infrastructure, they can make some system code design for optimization. So we think deploying this technology inside the limit domain would be a good choice. So just a quick summary that we think that the NACA is a potential solution in AI networking, because it can increase bandwidth saving, avoid in-cost, and also increase the overlap between compute and communication overlap to improve the training efficiency. And also, there are two modes for RDMA-based NACA. Both have advantages and also limitations and optimization space. So we're here to solicit comments and looking for some people who are also interested in the work that we care about. That is IETF interested in AI networking? If so, that will be in the scope. We know that there is a research group called CoinRG for a while, but it focuses on research. And also, we want to standardize something. That's why we came here. Came to NFSV4 today. And also, iWork may have some limitations. So, will there be any study space of other solutions or extend iWork? So, and also, yeah, in the industry, there might be some solutions out there like RPC based, but I know that might not be in the scope of this working group. So I also welcome for more discussions and very quick information sharing that we have held about 2 solid meetings on this topic. We call it SQL. It's short for collective communication optimizations in the past 2 in IETF 118 and 119. So you can see more information on the GitHub. Thank you. Hi, Tom, you can. Thanks.
Tom, go ahead.
Question on a slide a couple back. You said that iWarp over TCP may break NACA TCP reliability mechanism.
This page?
What can you drill down on that, please?
This page?
Yeah. See that second bullet in the iWarp section?
Yeah, I mean, do you mean server-to-server mode? It will break TCP reliability. Are you focused on this?
Yep. I don't understand the break TCP reliability mechanism.
Yeah. I will give you a very quick explanation and example. For example, if you want to do many-to-one aggregation, right? So for end-to-end mode, you need to, between the sender and receiver, you need to build RDMA connection, right? So here a TCP connection, right? But there is an in-network node, the switch. It will aggregate the packets coming from multiple senders and do some aggregation. But at the receiver side, it will determine that it will judge it at the packet loss. It will only receive one packet, not multiple packets from the sender, so that there will be a reliable mechanism. It should be improved. So I think naked functions break TCP run. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the function of TCP in the stack. I mean, the senders don't launch individual messages. They send TCP byte streams, and TCP delivers the data. So I'm a little confused on that one, but it's okay. We don't have enough time to drill down on it, perhaps. And the second question is offloading iWarp transport to switch. I'm not really sure what that means.
What I mean is that if you want to build RDMA connection between the server and the switch, and so you need the switch to implement some transport, to process the protocol, and not just forward the packet. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's okay. That's another thing that I guess I need to understand your proposal better, because there's a TCP stream. So, the switches already inspect TCP packets and do various intelligent things with them, but you want them to process RDMA messages in the switch?
Sure. There is a like Sharp. It offloads RDMA functions inside the switch. The switch can recognize packet and process about some functions inside the transport, but only part of it, and left some other like packet loss processing to the endpoints. So, but after all, the switch can do some RDMA processing. Yeah.
Well, that's true in the InfiniBand/Rocky protocol family. I'm not sure how that translates to iWarp, but that's good to discuss. Sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure I've read your draft. I read a draft. Maybe it was this draft, but I'll look at it again. Thanks.
Sure. And also, more information are put on the GitHub link. You have.
Yeah, I
if you are
just saw that
interested.
link and I went to the
Sure,
page.
sure,
I'll
yeah.
take a look at that one tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Jahed as individual. So, I mean, my very basic, very lightweight understanding is like there is a server trying to connect with, trying to send some data to the network, like routers, so that it can understand and do the things that not only forwarding something else,
Sure.
right? So, one way of doing things, you have a really direct communication between the server and router. So you can say like set up a TCP session to your router and basically run your command.
Yeah.
That's one way of doing things. Another thing is like, okay, router is not my endpoint. I'm actually sending the data somewhere else,
Yeah.
maybe another server.
Mhm.
But then I want router to do some intelligent thing.
Yeah.
So I think that you're talking about the latter one, right?
I think
You're both.
Both. Yeah. Both have solutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Both have solution, and that's why I think this needs to be understood and analyzed by more than like the transport protocol experts,
Sure.
more than the RDMA experts, because now we are touching upon where the relationship really doesn't exist. So, I mean, usually TCP we use a client and server. Client could be anything. Your router could be a client, of course. But then the router vendor need to understand like the implication of those kind of things, right? Running that TCP, full TCP stack there.
Yeah.
The other thing is like I'm more concerned like if it's between server to server and you want to tag some information on the packet or on the TCP or stuff like that, if it is not in a small like restricted constrained domain, it can blow up because it's gonna break everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, yeah, I mean, it's good to see you present here. And NFSV4, I think there are RDMA experts like Tom and others out there. They care, they understand. But I do really think like this is beyond this. It requires more kind of like general discussion in IETF to see like if you really would like to go to that kind of communication mode
Sure.
and the security analyst and everything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and also one more like comment that there are some ongoing discussion in routing area like AIDC, some relevant stuff. So yeah, today, yeah, if you are interested, I think you can just follow that. Yeah, thank you. Yep, thank you, Chair. Yeah.
Okay, we're actually out of time. I'm just going to go back really quick and say, all right, just as a reminder, here's the little set of upcoming interim meetings. They're already scheduled. Hey, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, sorry. It's on my screen now. It's on your screen too. All right. Sorry, I will go back to that in a moment. We're really short on time, but I will put it up there for the few minutes when we still have the room. So here's all the interim meetings and leading up to Vancouver. Pay attention to the list. I can't guarantee that all of these are guaranteed to happen, but there they are. We don't have that. Enjoy Brisbane for those who haven't gone out and done stuff. Yeah, Tom, this is for you. Yeah, book your room now. I already booked mine. Don't complain to me next time. All right, sorry. And that concludes the meeting. And here's the GitHub page with kind of links and stuff. I think it's up there. Yeah, it's up there. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to all the speakers.
I think technically I blamed you for my airfare.
Fair. That's true. I remember that movie. Oh, so I was doing it, and it was still. So the thing is, like,
And then we showed that. I'm like, oh, those are the things.
Yeah, so the thing is if I hover on the like future slide number on my display, and it's the same display that like normally it says what's up here, on my display it's like this is what's on there, and I'm like, so I've advanced or not.
So you can bring up the interim meeting times or whatever, so have an excuse to keep them working.
Fair enough.
That would be very useful to have
Did I? It's in the slides, right? Yeah, these don't turn on. These don't turn on. Nice.